Autoerotic defenestration. Some people peep through windows, but you like to leap through them. Gravity is your aphrodisiac. Unconventional means of escape is your ultimate climax. Autoerotic defenestration. So this is something that I've heard. And I wouldn't quote me on this. I heard it from somebody who is kind of working at Evergreen, and they saw a document during their job that they told me, this is what they told me, that Evergreen is investing $500,000 on a multi-year rebranding effort. And they've hired a couple of marketing teams to do this. And among new logos and social media presences, there is this identity standards and brand guidelines that was produced quite recently on the college website. And I want to go through this because I find the language of this stuff quite fascinating, especially if we think of Evergreen as this progressive college, and we know that Evergreen's going on this whole push for, equity and intersectionality and identity. It's interesting to see how this identity philosophy translates into advertisees. And to me, it sounds like a kind of a bastard child of Kafka and Nike. So let's read this a little bit. Identity Standards and Brand Guidelines, version 1.0, Light Guide. Introduction. The Evergreen State College has a powerful story to tell. For nearly 50 years, Evergreen's learning model has layered academic interests into individualized focus areas, preparing each of our students to make their unique impact on an ever-changing world. In today's world, with so many messages, communication devices, and media channels competing for our time and attention, it is more critical than ever that all members of the Evergreen community have access to tools and language they can draw upon to accurately reflect our values and offerings. A strong visual identity and consistent expression of our distinction will provide the unifying elements necessary for a story that resonates. That is why these guidelines were developed. They are for all of us who tell the Evergreen story. That's why this guidebook is not limited to the designers, copywriters, and photographers who create our print and digital publications. It serves as a reference for faculty who represent the college at conferences, for administrators who work with high school students, current students, alumni, parents, and members of the media, and for all of us who write and speak about Evergreen. So apparently, these guidelines are also for yours truly. Our refreshed visual identity and messaging draws meaning from our history, but is also highly inventive and adaptable for new forms of communication, from websites to social media channels. You will find information on the foundational elements of the Evergreen's visual identity, fonts, logos, colors, usage, the development of our new tagline, Your Way to the World, and much more. Evergreen's refreshed identity is an opportunity for the entire Evergreen family, students, the campus community, alumni, and all friends of the college to tell our story more powerfully and succinctly. Evergreen has taken a thoughtful and deliberate path to arrive at our refreshed identity. And by using this guide, the communications coming from Evergreen will be just as intentional. You hear this language? I don't really understand how to unpack it. I mean, I know that it's just advertising stuff, and there's a heavily suggestive stuff, but still, in the context of Evergreen, it's kind of got this kind of authoritarian undertone to it that I just I can't quite put my finger on. These are guidelines, not laws. However, telling the Evergreen story consistently across audiences and channels will help us position Evergreen for a stronger future. Brand platform. Evergreen Values. Our brand values are the collection of attributes we seek to project through our communications. These 5 values, developed through extensive internal and external research, as well as listening to current students and faculty, wouldn't that fall under internal research? Articulate Evergreen's voice and personality. Use these brand values as a guide when writing about Evergreen or telling our story. Okay, let's look at these values. Open-hearted. I feel like I should do this. Open-hearted. We value connection to ourselves, our passions, our community, and to the world. Inventive. We don't think or work in traditional silos. We create new ways of approaching learning. Ambitious. We never sit still. We prepare to leave our mark on the world, like a dog suffering from ADHD. Real. We talk to each other about personal interests and big ideas, respectfully, but without artifice. What does this stuff even mean? Evolving. We know we can always find better ways, and we are excited to work toward them. These are values: open-hearted, inventive, ambitious, real, evolving. I mean, I guess I'm for those. I'm open-hearted, more or less. I'm inventive, yeah. Today I'm a little square, but I am ambitious. I mean, look at my output. I am real. Well, I mean, I don't know how real I am. That's subjective, right? Especially in this day and age. And I am evolving. Thanks to all my critics. 2.2, Evergreen's brand story. Evergreen is a small public liberal arts college located in Olympia, Washington that lives and breathes in the hearts of those who have experienced it. Like one of those alien things. The brand story is a narrative written to convey that passion to audiences less familiar with Evergreen. It helps affirm the important emotional connection that helps a reputation have true impact. The language is inspired by real voices in the Evergreen community. Which voices? Used consistently as a foundation for copywriting and scripting, the brand story will tie together all of our communications, from websites to brochures to speeches, and raise awareness of our unique and powerful impact on the ever-changing world. This really is Borgosian. Borgian? Here it is. Here's the story. The world doesn't wait for us. It changes every day and changes us at the same time. The way we learn, the way we work, the way we relate to each other. The world needs people who are inspired by this complexity and excited to contribute the best of themselves to it. The Evergreen State College prepares creative minds for the way the world happens now, and the next now, and the now after that one. Like the world, everyone at Evergreen learns from each other, working in teams from the science lab to the dorm room to the forests and beaches that surround us. Like the world, we focus, instead of major, layering disciplines into individual expressions of scholarship and anticipating careers yet to be invented. Like the world, we evaluate each other with context and explanation, not simple solitary letters. And exactly like the world, we don't just sit around studying, we create. Some institutions have a way, a system that dictates and defines their culture. At Evergreen, our way has always been yours, your passions, your sense of community, your time and space to dig deep and dream big. That's why we're here. The essence of Evergreen isn't tradition, but invention. We are the place where eager minds learn to create our ever-changing world. The Evergreen State College, your way to the world. You know what I get from that? This is a place to frolic around, make up things, and not really do any studying. Studying's like learning things, grades, what matters. And that's cool. I mean, there's a positive to that, but there's no mention of rigor. There's no mention of growth or becoming better or competency. It's just invention, creation. Beaches. Ooh, elevator pitches. Here we go. Elevator pitch. Number 1. The Evergreen State College is a small public liberal arts college located in Olympia, Washington, on a campus of forests and beaches. That's a very short elevator ride. Elevator pitch 2. I guess we'll do one for each floor. Ding! Evergreen isn't about tradition, but invention. Our learning model really gets students ready to shape a world that is always changing. So don't look about the past, look about what's going to happen. Don't worry about what you did do, worry about what you're going to do. Students layer their different academic interests into focus areas, which lets them create their own path and impact on the world, just like insert appropriate alumni here did. Oh, cool. Yeah, let's do this again. 3rd floor. Students layer their different academic interests into focus areas, which lets them create their own path and impact on the world, just like Benjamin Boyce did. Actually, this is kind of true about me, huh? As a community, we're open-hearted and real. We really are. We're really real and open-hearted. And everyone is always learning from each other. Tips. Below are some tips for using the story to accomplish our goals. Keep the story front and center. This particular story, this invented story. Front and center. Use real-world examples to support the story. Build off the story and incorporate instances of how the work you are doing helps Evergreen reflect the world that our students are preparing to meet. Avoid using the abbreviation TESC for any external communications. A simple Evergreen evokes more meaning and feels more conversational. Be confident in using the brand and talking points as a starting point to describe the organization before going into detail about your individual work. Tagline. The fundamental idea in our brand story is that Evergreen is the college where students determine their own way forward to prepare them for an ever-changing nature of the world. An ever-changing nature of the world. This is verbatim. Thus, our tagline, your way to the world, is an invitation for all of those who are inspired by the complexity of the world and want to create and learn on their own terms. I mean, I'm like that. I'm totally like that. I am the model Evergreen student, whether they like it or not. That's what I am. And then, your way to the world. Now, one little thing, we're going to wrap it up. They have all these, do's and do nots with the logo system, right? But from what I heard, again, this is just what I've heard, but they've spent 1 full year's tuition plus books on this logo, on this redesigned logo. That's what you get. That's what you get. And this is interesting. So we'll see how all this money spent on advertising is going to help Evergreen. I don't really understand marketing ease. It'd be interesting to get, if there's any marketers or people who work with marketing departments, to get your take on this and expand the perception of what this is really trying to do. Anyhow. I got a few interviews getting set up for later on this week, as well as any current events issues. If you guys do find a story that you want me to tackle and do a little bit of dressy-wessy blotty about, go ahead and contact me through Twitter or, page me through Twitter. The YouTube message system is just great. Also, I want to do a great shout out to all my patrons and my patrons and all the people who are supporting me in this work, which isn't just about Evergreen, it's about other things. And it's also not just selling my ridicule, but selling my ever-developing critique on the ways that intersectionality and other odd identity movements are infiltrating and making a mark on our society. Without myself falling into the identity trap, perhaps. Maybe. That's why I wear so many costumes. Intersectional theatrics is my forte. Good night.